Our speaker seems to be having some challenge, but once again, it's a pleasure to welcome you. And we are talking about Real Estate 101 today. How do we mean by Real Estate 101? Everybody talks about how real estate is the best thing since fried rice or sliced bread or jollof rice, as the case may be for you. However, what you do not hear is the risk that that is inherent in all of these matters. To every opportunity, there is a risk. And therefore, if there is a risk, as we once discussed in one of our conversations, there has to be a way to manage the risk or minimize the risk. And the only way to minimize risk is to have understanding of what you are investing in. If you do not understand what you are investing in, anything that anybody comes to tell you would look like, this is the green light. You say, oh, my pastor said, my auntie said, my uncle said. And sometimes these people are not doing it from a place of malice.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. I was doing an intro before you come on board.
I understand. I've been trying to unmute, but it's been proving difficult to do that. So I had to do some troubleshooting. So I guess we are good now.
All right. So as it is with most with anything we're doing in life, you need to know for yourself why you are doing it and what is attached to what you are doing, because that's how you then know if it is suitable for you or not. There are millions of parcels of land in Lagos alone. How do you know which is appropriate for you to buy and not to buy if you do not take time to even learn about real estate before you go pack your hard-earned money, even if it's a gift, even if you are giving the money as a gift? There must have been a reason the person gave you that gift. And it is on this premise that we are recording this live session, such that 5 years from now, many years from now, as long as the principles being shared today are relevant, we can always refer to it before you make any real estate, especially land-based investments. And it's on that note that I welcome our speaker. He's a town planner by training. He's a GIS expert. He's a member of Rainy Day, and he will be leading us in this conversation. As usual, there will be a lecture from the main speaker for about 30 minutes, not more than 30 minutes. And then there will be question and answers around the key topic, around the things that the speaker has shared for at least 30 minutes before we call it a day. I also like to recognize the presence of one of our surveyors. She is also an agile member of our team, person of Surveyor Margaret Ayomide. She does a great job in also guiding people on issues like this. So I have brought you two heavyweights to ensure that at no time in the future do you make the mistake of wrongly investing in real estate. Thank you very much, and happy to have you here. Over to you, Mr. Oyawuyi.
All right. I would like to start by appreciating the moderator of the program, and um, I appreciate you for putting me on spot to talk to our people this evening. I'm sorry for coming late. It's due to some technical issues I'm encountering from here. But I have to go straight to it. So we are in the month of compliance, and what we'll be talking basically about is the compliance about on land. And so, with regard to this, I would like to title my presentation "Exploring Land Compliance in Nigeria," which is a pathway to due diligence in property acquisition. Once again, my name is Oyawuyi Michael Abimbola. I'm a town planner and a GIS enthusiast. From time immemorial, land is being described as one of the nature's most invaluable gifts to man. And in land economics, it remains limited and hotly disputed resources nationwide. So this presentation will strive to provide members of these cooperative and participants in this question and answer session with the essential understanding required to successfully navigate the complexities of land acquisitions in Nigeria. The aim of this presentation will be to equip participants with the necessary information with regards to compliance in land acquisition. In a bid to achieve the aim, participants will have to identify the basics in land acquisition, that is, in knowing everything that is involved before you acquire land. That is, before you buy land in Nigeria, you have to know some certain basics. Then secondly, participants will have to understand the statutory processes, the documentation process, and the consent requirements needed during land acquisition. Furthermore, participants will have to recognize the responsibilities involved that must be carried out before acquiring land. And participants will have to assess the pros and the constraints of compliance in land, because whatever has prospects, we definitely have challenges. And the last objective will be to leverage on methods that must be pursued to authenticate land documents. Now, in talking about land compliance today, I would like to divide my presentation into three phases. The first phase will be the pre-acquisition phase. Prior to committing any funds to land transaction, that is, before you drop a kobo, a prospective land buyer must carry out adequate investigation. And under this pre-acquisition phase, we have different tasks which must be pursued. Number one, you have to do a certain investigation with regards to the family that owns the land, that is traditional investigation, and you have to do family verification. I mean, in one of our dealings recently, we do that, and that was carried out for extensive period of time, extended period of time, so to say. And also, the second task under this phase is to do physical inspection, which in geographic information system we call ground truthing. That is, you have to go to the subject area, that is the subject site, to investigate. You walk around the site, you investigate if actually the land is what is being described to you. Then the third task under this pre-application phase is you do charting. Before you acquire a land, you have to chart. And what's the reason for charting? You have to do a kind of comparison. In case you are given a survey plan prior to buying a land, you have to compare and contrast. You have to check if the coordinates correspond to what you have contract. And one of the major reasons we also conduct charting is to ensure that the land is free of any government acquisition, because that may be very dangerous. Um, then another one is, in some states you may not have to do that, but in some states you have to search at the land registry. This is to ascertain whether the proposed land has documents or if it has been registered before. Then, if the interested party is a corporate organization, you have to go to Corporate Affairs Commission, provided the vendor happens to be a corporate organization. You go to Corporate Affairs Commission. And this aspect, majority used to jump this aspect. Then, in case of you dealing with a corporate organization, you also go to probate registry search. You do court registry search. Then verification of execution in case of government execution and set. And this applies in the recent case of most people that are affected by the Ibadan Circular Road for the um, road alignment. The governor is claiming that the setback that was earmarked has been gazetted since the time of Governor Ladoja. But most of the victims are claiming that what Dr. Governor Ladoja earmarked for setback is just 75 meters to the right and 75 meters to the left. But the governor is claiming it is 500 meters to the right, 500 meters to the left. So you have to keep it up on the set before you proceed in getting a land. The second phase under compliance is what I called acquisition phase. And under this acquisition phase, you must have ticked all the boxes in the first phase. So having ticked all the boxes, you have to move to doing some transaction with the family involved. And the tax involved in this is the contract stage and the sale agreement. In case there's an existing sale agreement between you and the family or the prospective seller, the person that wanted to sell the land. Then you do preparation and execution of deeds of assignment. And in some cases, the selling party might insist on the power of attorney. Then also, having done this, you have to seek doctor consent. But in most cases, this usually come after acquisition. That is, you obtaining the certificate of occupancy. It usually come after acquisition, but majority, because obtaining of certificate of occupancy usually take a protracted long period of time. So most people like to start the process even while the process of acquiring land is going on. And the last one, the obtaining of the governor consent is a non-negotiable requirement. It is very vital. Then the last phase under the land compliance is what I call post-acquisition phase. The post-acquisition phase does not end with just payment and possession. It's not just about you paying and possessing the land. It determines whether the purchaser obtains legal title or not. When we are talking of legal title, most of the time, you don't only deal with a surveyor and a town planner before you acquire land. You have to deal with legal practitioner. It is all encompassing. So these professionals have to work hand in hand in ensuring that you're able to get the needed land. So under this phase, we have to ensure that we make inquiry with regards to we make sure we register the land at the land registry. In some cases, this does not apply in some states. You may have to pay the ground rent and the land use charges. Apply to land in Lagos. This you notice that this applies to land in Lagos State. Then you have to adhere to the zoning because every land has its the earmarked land use. We have agricultural land use, we have commercial land use, we have residential land use, so that you don't cite a conflicting land use with each other. So it's very important that you comply with the land use that has been earmarked. If a land is earmarked for agricultural land use, on no account should you use it for industrial land use, because that would be um, that will be contravention on your part, and there's a punishment for that. And it may also not be complementary to the adjoining land use, because one of the things we pursue in development and site preparation is to ensure that it's not in conflict with the adjoining land use. So registration of land registry, payment of ground rent and land use charges, compliance with zoning and building regulation. Then you have to maintain proper documentation. It is very important. It is very, very important. Then the next phase under these under this presentation, um, we have to look at the advantages of compliance in land acquisition. That is, what are those benefits for pursuing compliance when it comes to land ownership? Number one, it affords the holder of a perfected title legal protection in case of litigation. In case there's a case in court, if you title your land, do the if you pursue the due diligence to the maximum limit, it will afford you a kind of protection. You are covered. And the second one is that in case of competing interest, that is when, in case two parties are competing over an interest on the land, if you register your land very well, it gives you an edge over the competing parties. So this gives you an edge over the person you are dragging the land with. So this also is very important. The third one is that it grants the holder access to credit facilities. A land that is well registered, that has certificate of occupancy, this serves as collateral security in case you want to obtain loan. And it also gives your land, it increases the value of your land. You can't compare a land that doesn't have title, that is not well registered, that lack certificate of occupancy. You cannot compare its value to a land that is well registered, that is well documented in the land registry. So this is also one of the advantages of compliance in land acquisition. Also, compliance in land acquisition can pass and it can be accepted as an admissible evidence in court. In case of litigation, you don't need to go further in proving that document you have is valid, provided you have a well documented and a titled document. It can pass in the court. It will only pass in court as an admissible evidence. So you can easily tender that in case of litigation, which will further help in pursuing your case in the court. Also, it offers the landowner a kind of protection against government acquisition. Let's look at the case of um, land being claimed along the circular route corridor. In case you are issued a certificate of occupancy, in case you registered your land, this will serve as a means to um, petition the government in seeking compensation for the claiming of such land. But in case you lack all these things I've been highlighting, you've been talking about, it will be difficult for you to seek compensation from the government. So if you if your land is well documented, if it is registered, if you have a certificate of occupancy, it helps you to claim, to ask government for compensation. Then it increased property value. Like I said the other time, you cannot compare a land that is not well registered to the land that is well registered and documented when we are talking about the value. And the seventh advantage, which is the last, is that proper registration and documentation protects you against fraud. It protects you against any fraudulent um, activity that might want to affect you on the long run. So um, that is that about the advantages of compliance and land acquisition. Then there's nothing that have advantage or benefit that doesn't have constraints or challenges. So I would like to delve into the challenges of land compliance in Nigeria. One of it is that compliance process involves multiple fees. What I'm simply saying here is that it is very expensive. It's not something you get on a platter of good. That's why most people prefer not to go after it. Like there are some claims that about 99% of Nigeria, okay, less than 91% of Nigeria has unregistered land. Most lands in Nigeria, 91% of lands in Nigeria is unregistered. And it's not far-fetched. It's one of the reasons that is responsible for this is the fact that it is a very expensive um, adventure. So for you to get your land well registered, to be well documented, you have to be prepared for the um, cost implication. It is usually expensive. Number two, to obtain governor consent, it usually takes a long period of time. Um, Now, with the advent of the homeowners charter by the current Oyo State government, the waiting period for the certificate of occupancy has been shortened. But you have to wait for minimum of 8 to 9 months to get your certificate of occupancy. If you are fortunate to get it for that period, you will still find yourself lucky. You can still count yourself lucky. Another one is procedure for compliance and land can be very complex. It's a very complex procedure because you have to go through a lot of steps and processes. So it is very complex because you in Nigeria to register your land, to obtain governor consent, to register to verify your land from the land registry. It's a complex process, and as you are doing it, you have to um, be expending some cost on this. So it's a complex process, as the case may be. Number four, you may encounter some corrupt officials. They may be asking you for some illegal fee, for some fees that are not on the book. You cannot but encounter this. When you're trying to seek approval for your development, when you're trying to register your land, you have to pay some fees that will not be documented. So you should be prepared for things like this sometimes. We are in Nigeria. So corruption is one of the challenges of land compliance. And the fifth one is the issue of digital infrastructure. Um, there's been an issue from with moving from the analog phase to the digital phase. When you go to most of these government offices, they are still involved. Most of them are still doing the usual. I mean, they are still practicing the conventional method, which is the analog phase. So, although in some cases, some states are now gradually moving towards the digital era. So, because of lack of technical know-how on the part of the officials at most of these government offices, this has been a challenge in blending the analog method of land compliance, of land registration to the digital era. And the sixth challenge is the challenges of duplicates in registration. In case of a federal land being in a state, if you are registered the land has been laid out by the federal government, some states might still insist that you register the land again under the state because the land is under the state. Over time, there has been some land laws that has been trying to resolve this issue, but due to lack of implementation, this has been a challenge. So if you register the land under the federal government and you're registering it under the state government, that's duplication. And it is a challenge which must be looked into. And the last one is the jurisdictional uncertainties. when you have a government, federal government and state government having conflicting interest over a particular land, federal government will be trying to lay their control over the land. Also, the state government will be saying this land is within my jurisdiction. This is also another challenge under land acquisition. So far, so good. We've been talking about the challenges of land acquisition, and now the jurisdictional uncertainties is the last challenge that can be encountered in land compliance. So, in conclusion, land acquisition in Nigeria can pass for a long journey. That is from the inception to the completion stage. The benefit of land compliance, although a bit expensive, it outweighs the challenges it holds. As a result of this, every participant of this session should endeavor to engage a qualified professionals, conduct thorough investigations, perfect title without delay, and maintain compliance with all regulatory obligations. In a nutshell, conducting due diligence in land acquisition will help you transform your land from a mere possession into a security and productive asset that will benefit your oncoming generation. So I would like to recommend that you, for you to acquire a land, that is, if you will be compliant pertaining to land, always ensure that you engage qualified professionals. When I'm talking about qualified professionals, I'm talking about qualified estate surveyor, a land surveyor, which is a registered surveyor, a town planner. We're talking about land. We're talking about land compliance. You should also engage a legal practitioner. This is very vital. Then you should also engage, you establish cordial relationship with relevant government agencies. That is, we are not talking about the Surveyor General Office. I'm talking about the Corporate Affairs Commission, and I'm talking about the allied corporate bodies. Then always request for the original document from the vendor or the family that are interested in selling the land. This is very important. Ensure that you verify the documents you are being issued. If you are issued a pre-registered um, survey, ensure that you verify that it is um, genuine. Then you document every payment and obtain receipt properly endorsed by the vendor. Also, ensure that you perfect your title promptly and maintain compliance and a proper data protection measure. That is, if the land acquisition is involve a corporate entity like a cooperative, ensure that every member of the cooperative that subscribes for such land, ensure that their record is well documented and they are promptly issued receipts for subscribing of such land. And the last recommendation would be to inform every participant of this question and answer session to ensure that they stay informed about legal development on land. As I said earlier, just like I said earlier, um, land laws are being constantly modified by the House of Representatives, by the um, bodies involved in land registration in the country. Although one of the problems we have in the modification is the lack of implementation. Majority of the land laws that has been proposed recently, that has been modified recently, majority of them have not been implemented. And I want to believe that if it is properly implemented, this will help in resolving most of the problems we have with regards to land acquisition, land tenure system in the country, and it will go a long way in the reduction of disputes with regards to land in the country. Um, that will be the end of my presentation. I would like to appreciate everybody for your rapt attention. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for our presenter. And please do well to appreciate him for the summary he has given, because the summary he gave is basically some people's career. He has given you the things that a lawyer will do, an estate surveyor will do, a land surveyor will do, a town planner will do. He has been able to summarize it in less than 20 minutes, about 20 minutes, which points to one thing: you need to hire professionals. They did not go to school so that you will be able to figure out everything they do in 20 minutes. I know that Nigerians have a tendency to want to do things by themselves. This is not one of those things. So, as always is the case, whether you are in Lagos, you are in Abuja, you are in Kano, or anywhere, if you do not know who to call, send us a DM, reach out to us at Rainy Day or Space Cube or Snag Inspector and ask for help. We have professionals like the presenter who we can send your way to assist you, because something as simple as building relationship with government agencies, it sounds very simple, but I assure you it is not very simple. The simple way to do it is to go to the professionals, because the professionals are the ones who relate with them on a day-to-day basis, and then that makes your life easier. So we are now at the question and answer session. Does anybody have particular questions? Have you seen something in the past that you are in a situation and you'd like for like I said, I brought I brought two people for the slot of one, so that any question you have, left and right, to be properly tackled. And this is a recording, which means anybody listening to it in the future can also reach out about their questions. Does anyone have a question here this evening? Let's have it. Please unmute yourself and ask. So I'd like to ask a question on behalf of, something that I've heard people say over time. And they say, for example, they want to build a house somewhere, but the developer has told them that, oh, it's a nice place. For example, people that are buying estates. And they say that, oh, I see people everywhere building. Why can I not build like them? Or why cannot I not buy this house? Such that maybe 5 years later or 10 years later, government comes and demolishes the place, just like it happened in Lagos on the island, and it has happened with the Circular Road in Ibadan and several other parts of the country, including Abuja. What could be the problem in that situation? I'd like you to speak to that particular scenario where people say, but I saw people building in the place now. I saw other people building there. Why is my own different? Why did they break down their own house and not somebody that is just 100 meters away from them? My neighbor at the entrance of our street, they didn't break down his house. They broke down their own house. Can you help to enlighten our audience, both those who are listening now and those who will be listening in the future, about that situation?
All right. Thank you, sir. According to the Land Use Act, there's a section of the Land Use Act that take care of development with regards to overriding public interest. If government have to acquire a land for the purpose of public interest. The examples you cited now, and with regard to the question you asked, one of the ways it can fly is if the land is to be acquired on the interest of the public, because it's an established fact that all land belongs to the government. So if the land is to be used for for a development that is to benefit the whole public, so such a land will be acquired, irrespective of you being issued a certificate of occupancy, irrespective of the fact that you registered the land. The only advantage of you registering your land or obtaining permission from the government before you embark on development, the only advantage it can give you is that it will make you qualify for compensation. So, but also, while I was talking about the things you should look out for, I said you should always be updated with emerging laws with regards to land. One of the things the Oyo State government is using against people that are protesting pertaining to the circular road is the fact that the 500 meters to both right and left has been gazetted from the time of Governor Abiola Jimabi, and from the time of Governor Ladoja. But we are all aware, based on the information we get, that Governor Ladoja earmarked 75 meters, that's 150, 75 meters right or left. Then Governor Jimabi raised it to 150. Initially raised it to 300 meters right, 300 meters left. But when people protested, he dropped it to 150. So for you not to fall victim to the case you just cited, it is very important that before you go ahead with the pre-acquisition phase, you must ensure that you get the necessary information, you read extensively about that particular land, you do chatting. Let me give you an instance. This circular road, a relative of mine had a landed property there, and I was commissioned to go and survey the land. On getting there, I surveyed the land. I charted the land first, and I realized that the land is about 375 meters to the circular road. The person has started the property has reached the lintel level. I had to tell the person to halt. That was in 2023, to stop the development. If I did not chart the land, it would be very difficult for us to know if the land has encroached into the circular road setback. So I told the person to wait and let's see what the governor will do. There's been continuous protest with regard to this same land. But the fact of the fact that I'm in Oyo State, most conversant with most of the acquisition in Oyo State, and some cases we've heard outside Oyo State, those cases of Lagos State, if you do thorough research, except the land is being claimed for public interest, the government will have no other choice than to compensate the the original settlers of the community accordingly. But if it has been gazetted that the land is meant for the use the government wanted to use it for, if prior to the time those victims acquired the land, it will be very difficult to ask government for compensation. And I hope I've answered your question, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much. So let me re-echo what you have said. There are two situations to it. If you bought it before the government gazetted it, gazette is basically public announcements. The way they used to announce anything that government is doing, any decision of government, is to either release a circular or a gazette. A gazette is usually from the governor, something authoritative, to show that a decision has been made. That's the meaning of gazetting and gazetting that you have been hearing since morning. A decision has been made. So it's not whether you're happy with it or not, it's no longer the issue. I think that only a court of law can then arbitrate over that matter going forward or decide whether it is right or wrong. So before you buy the land, that's where the chatting comes in. If the gazette was before you bought the land, no, nothing for you. You have lost your money. If it is after you bought the land and you did your due diligence, then there is something for you. So that's one distinction that we need to make. And it's particularly important, especially for people in Lagos and in Abuja that are buying conservation land that belongs to, that the government has earmarked for conservation, or the one that belongs to the military. That one is even very good. Maybe you go and fight soldiers and collect land from them. You will sleep in that room. Or another one that is very common in places like Lagos and Abuja and other places is land that is for drainage, for canal and all those kind of things. Usually, they would have earmarked it a long time ago, but for maybe budgetary constraints, they would not have done the drainage or the canal or a water pipeline or something, or even a fire station. If there is no budget for it, they will not do it yet. But it does not mean that the land use for that thing has changed. So you cannot fool yourself by saying, oh, I am buying the land, I will come back in the future to come and see it. You have gotten yourself into trouble, because you cannot tell government not to build a fire station or not to build a hospital, except you are buying that land for the purpose for which it was earmarked. So, for example, if it was earmarked for a hospital and you bought it to also build a hospital, there will be things you need to do to ensure that that's why you have to hire professionals. But if they earmarked it for hospital and you went to build hotel there, you are in trouble. That's what our main speaker has been explaining to us. So when people complain in Lagos that, I didn't know, there is no excuse of ignorance under the law. You cannot claim that you did not know. The only thing you can do is to comply, spend that 1%. You want to buy land of 500 million. Earmark 5 million to even do your due diligence to be sure that there is no evil in front. I think that's the closing comments on that. Do we have any other person that has a question here? I think that's one rampant thing that a lot of people have spoken about that scares them about investing in Nigeria, buying land and all whatnot. All right. So Margaret, are you available? Are you able to speak? Let me see if she's on the line. Okay, I think she has dropped off the call. All right. In the absence of any further questions, I would like to bring this meeting to a close and appreciate everyone who has joined us and who will be joining us via the recording sometime in the future. Once again, this has been Rainy Day Cooperative, and you can check out our investment products and get yourself acquainted with what we do, and you can join us to make progress together. Once again, I'd like to appreciate our main speaker for his time and for sharing his resources with us. If you'd like to get in touch with him, do well to send us a message and we'll be happy to share his contact with you for engagement. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great evening.